Nicholas, how are you?
I'm doing great. What about you, Matt?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. This is Masters Week.
I know. I mean, I've heard about it. My neighbor told me about it this morning when I was 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. at the bus station. So for the kids,
You're in Georgia, and I know you're aware, but you're not that close. You're not that
now
close to Augusta, Georgia.
I'm about 2 hours, but yeah, the reason I heard about it is like one of my neighbor was flying back yesterday and say the airport is jam packed. The other one was saying, "Oh, we were planning on something for 3 years. End up to wanted to book a hotel there, can't get an hotel. It's the place to be right now in the country, Augusta."
If you have any time, free time over the weekend, and you have an HD TV, which everyone does, just turn on the Masters because the flowers and the color of golf at Augusta in the spring is amazing, and I think is why everyone has HD TVs. And I know that's an
Oh,
overstatement, but like it's awesome. It's an awesome visual.
I thought people were going for watching the golf.
No, no. It's about the flowers and the pageantry.
All right, let's kick in. Hi everyone, this is Nico with eStreaming, the company that gets you live shopping on social media and your website. I am so excited, and it's another day of the Vcommerce show that my co-host Matt from E6 Marketing, the company that gets you on QVC and HSN, is hosting with me, and we're so excited to have another episode with you today. Matt, how are you doing? What is the show about?
Nico, thank you very much. Always excited to talk to you and talk about video commerce. And that's thank you very much for tuning in. This is the Video Commerce Show. This is a podcast talking about all things related to video commerce, which is the storytelling platform that was created 5 or 6 decades ago through infomercials and DRTV that grew through HSN and QVC and now has evolved into engaging direct response commerce through your television, computer, tablet, or phone. So hopefully we touch on 3 or 4 different topics that are hot this week. Hopefully some of them will be interesting to you, and hopefully you'll learn a little bit from our conversation. So Nicholas, let's get started.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you well say, 3 or 4 topic. Usually it's 4, but today, we were talking and preparing this episode. We're like, what is the 4th topic we're going to talk about? So today we're going to stick to 3. And that's the reason why we're a little late, because we couldn't figure out what that 4th story was going to be about today. But the first story I want to bring on is about DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, that is doing a crackdown on a loophole that has been existing for many years that have been profiting companies like Shein and Temu, which is basically this notion of any import that are below $800, if I'm correct, has much less scrutiny than any other import. And so that's what the reason, if you're ordering on Shein or if you're ordering on Temu for an order that is above $800, typically you will receive multiple package because they want to break it down to that $800 value on the package. And what that regulation or that loophole does is, like any import below 800, they have a much faster pass through at the border. It's a duty-free tax import, and also because it's a much faster process and expedited process for pass-through, basically they are reviewing much less what's the content inside the box, and there's less requirement and everything. So what the DHS is saying is, like, by cutting on that, they are hoping to cut more, especially on the textile, and enforcing no child labor in regard to textile. We know that Temu and Shein have been really, I won't say hammered, but like really put under suspicion that they are leveraging some of those facilities out there that are leveraging child labors. And so US Department, the DHS wants to reinforce those laws, which are completely forbidden to import any product from that into this. Is that the only reason? Not so sure, but it's a very convenient reason from my point of view. And I think it's a great thing to do. I don't know what you think on that, Matt, but I think for everyone in the e-com space and that are trying to fight against the Chinese import, that's an interesting import. I know a lot of founders and companies are leveraging that as well for their own goods that they are shipping. So I don't know how that's going to play out. But anyway, are you thought on that, Matt?
Yeah. Well, the government really never got involved with like Alibaba, and that's been an e-commerce site that's been coming into the U.S. for many, many years. So I think there's just a recent crackdown. E-com is just blowing up. It's an international kind of business model. So I think the government's trying to do their due diligence in stopping bad product from coming in. We've talked about this before, right up until like porch thieves of stealing product right off your front porch, like e-com and delivery is just a big thing in the US right now. Maybe they're just trying to regulate it a little bit, control it a little bit, making sure the US consumer is not getting ripped off. I would think, they're trying to, do the best for the US consumer. You never know what the government's thinking along those lines. But interesting, that $800 number, I saw the same thing. Like, what does that mean? So they want to keep it less expensive product. And I don't think you could buy anything on some of those sites for that much money. Like, unless you're reselling it, which could be a whole other business model in itself, which many people do.
I'm pretty sure you can probably buy like a car in parts on Temu or something. No, don't you think it's kind of like some of those products?
Maybe you can. Yeah. And that's not good. You're doing that kind of thing. The government's going to crack down on that.
Interesting, right? And that also, like, that $800 value, like, how do you, like, if you're shipping illegal stuff, are you gonna say like it's less than $800 in value just to pass through that? I mean, like, it sounds kind of weird to me, that loophole. How does they estimate that and all that?
I don't know how they got the $800 number.
Yeah.
Anyway. So a story I saw today, and this is more on the business side, but Google is getting more and more into the video space, and I think that's a good thing. Again, this is more of a business side, but they're coming up with an AI type of dynamic where it's basically a writing, production, and editing assistant. Mm-hmm. So it creates a souped up slide deck for your corporate videos and corporate decks that you pass from business to business. What I've read, it's great for training manuals, onboarding new employees, and presenting concepts to clients. So I thought it was kind of great. Someone that works in business every day, and I read these decks. Some of the vendors and brands I work with put together amazing decks, beautiful illustrations and great detail and dynamics and stats. And other brands like kind of have to put it together by strings and paper clips. So the video dynamic being part of it, I love the play on this once it's live, and just to see how it will change my world.
Yeah, I think it does show that if you were not convinced that video is something that people adopt everywhere, this is another use case, right? Evan, now in your Google Suite, you will have Google Sheets, Google Doc, and Google Video, which I found it pretty fascinating, right? It's like one of those free stuff, and Google Slides. So one of those four, it's prevalent. It's something that we're all going to be video producer very soon.
Exactly, and that's really what it is. It's just becoming more and more common. Another story that I grabbed my attention this week, and as you know, I'm a big sports fan. Fanatics, which has just become a major player in everything related to sports, a $31 billion business, $31 billion, and it keeps growing. They're going to have like a 3-day Comic-Con-esque event in New York City in August, and they're going to have Peyton Manning and different other national sports celebrities. They're going to have vendors. They're going to have fans. They're going to have all types of different dynamics and trying to engage one-on-one with a collectible consumer, a sports consumer. I think it's a cool idea, and the whole Fanatics, they just dominate the category. They dominate a lot of what's going on in sports business, and sports business keeps growing and growing and growing.
I absolutely. And you know what's very fascinating about Fanatics? I was at Shop Talk, and there was one person from Fanatics. So I was trying to find his name while we were talking about this, because I thought that guy was very brilliant, and he was the one overseeing everything content for Fanatics. And what he was saying, relating to video commerce in general. So you obviously, we talk about the IRL, and this community was talking about that, but this notion also, like, Fanatics is as also a part of the business, which is the Fanatic Live, right? Where people will do auction of the card and of the collectible directly through a live stream. And what was very counterintuitive, and what I think in the room everyone was shocked about this. The guy was saying it is better to have very few people in your life than to have too many. For in terms of when you talk about collectible, he was valuing having smaller group of folks than too many, because you had less dilution, more engagement of the community, people were knowing each other, and the sales were better. I just thought that, going back to live commerce, and we talk about this auction model, this collectible model, very different perspective, where very counterintuitive, where they're saying, don't go broader, go smaller, which I thought it was a cool insight that they were giving at that time.
Yeah, and I kind of equated Nicholas to something that you're working on with gamification. There's another story that I saw related to this topic about the Golden Auctions company. eBay is going to buy them. The sale's not completed, but eBay is going to buy Ken Golden Auctions. Ken Golden is a guy I met 20 some years ago at QVC selling sports memorabilia. He's the founder and CEO of Golden Auctions, which is the leading marketplace for trading cards, collectibles, and memorabilia. And he has sold over 1.3 billion in memorabilia from when he first opened his store. They're being bought by eBay. And you might know this name, this Ken Golden name, because he's got his own Netflix series called King of Collectibles, the Golden Touch, King of Collectibles, the Golden Touch. And it's pretty fascinating to see, like, he runs like an auction. So you see the clock going. This Netflix series is pretty cool. You see the clock on how much time is left in the actual auction for whatever they're selling. You hear the buzz in the room and from the consumer, from the other employees about how hot this card collection is, or how hot this basketball is, or whatever the dynamics. It's a very cool dynamic, sports card collectibles, or sports collectibles in general. Ironically, or coincidentally, earlier this week, I was introduced to the gentleman that runs DAP Sports. His company is very, very similar, but he sells collectible cards like on the spot. So it is live commerce, live live video commerce, just like you and I work through. But he opens up packages, and like the camera's on the guy on his talent's hand, and he's rifling through different names of who's in this package and who's in that package. And he has a huge, very successful business. So sports collectibles, sports memorabilia, it's just something that really envelops the U.S. Attention.
Yeah, and what not, free something billion in valuation market cap, right? Right now, it's like they were built on collectible, right? So very much a dynamic there going on, and very much on trend, and they're really successful, and obviously branching out from collectible, but that is definitely a place and an area. And when you think about collectible and auction specifically, you could think also eBay was starting on that too, right? So at the end of the day, I think collectible have a great future, and it's definitely a space that, if it's an interesting space. Like NFT came in and all those things. For me, is like, I don't know the culture, and I think it's very much attached to the culture. So if you really have a pulse on that could be a really interesting business if you are looking at that, and just in general, just interesting to be part of the culture, I will say, because it feels very cultural for me. I don't know what you think on that.
No, 100%. Remember that video that we kind of discussed on the show where the woman was holding up pieces of apparel, and she was like throwing it off. She was holding it for a second. That's what this DAP Sports. If you go on DAP Sports, that's what it reminds me of. Like the guy literally opens up cards on an overhead shot and rifles through the cards. And I'm like,
Crazy.
who is paying attention to this? And then I asked the gentleman who runs it. I'm like, who's your consumer? Is it like 14 to 24, young male? He's like, no, it's like 25 to 55. It's people with disposable income. It's older demographic. He's got like a 60-40 male to female consumer. So it's absolutely enveloping everything that we kind of do in this video commerce space. And he is going to launch new channels coming up very soon in different dynamics, not just sports collectibles. So it's interesting. It's totally interesting. From my world, I got to take 6 to 8 minutes to kind of explain things. The consumer's a little more, I guess, understanding, or she wants to be more educated. Where this kind of dynamic is just rifling through things and grabbing her or his attention in a very, very fast way.
It goes back to what the guy from Fanatic Live was saying, right? Smaller community is better. And why is that? Because they already know what they're looking for, right? They already know exactly what they want, and they want to be the first one to grab it when it come out. So I think there's really that dimension and that notion of that exclusivity that you get with that, and I think that's why it's a different type of sales and different type of dynamic.
And to your point, the fear of missing out, and that kind of thing is in my world too, but much more so in this quick, fast-paced dynamic. It's pretty interesting.
Absolutely. All right, Matt. So we did say we didn't have a fourth story for this week, so we'll stay there. Any special shout out? I have a very small one. So on iStreamly, we just released a new cool player that I think we talked about recently, but this player can follow you across the website. I love this player. It's really fun to play with. So that's my shout out for the week. We do have a newsletter if you're interested about video commerce that we send every week as well. I spent a lot of time to craft that newsletter. So if you want to hear more from me, that's a place where you can find it out on tryusumi.com/newsletter. I'm going to try to bring on referral into that newsletter. So trying to play a little bit with that. And so for people that refer folks from that newsletter, we'll have a little prize there. We're working on that as we speak. But anything on your side, Matt, you wanna share on?
No, everything's good on my end as we're getting into the spring. As I said at the beginning of the show, Nicholas, I want you to sit on your couch for like 10 minutes this weekend and watch your HD TV and just get enveloped with the masters, the music and the pageantry and the history. I'm telling you, it's going to suck you in.
All right. So that will be my assignment for this weekend. Thank you everyone for being here. We are here every Friday on LinkedIn, Facebook, and also on X. You can also find us on the Live E-commerce podcast on any of your favorite podcast player. We just released an episode this Tuesday talking about video commerce and Magento with a very interesting player in the Magento space called Hiva. So if you for the one that are in Magento, they know that I didn't say it right. But if you want to check this out, feel free. Thanks, Matt, for being here. I will see you again next Friday, right?
All right. Have a great weekend, everyone.
All right. Bye, everyone.